What if I told you the greatest power you will ever wield is the power not to react, not to defend, not to explain, not to beg for respect that should have been given freely? You've been laughed at, ignored, underestimated, silently disrespected in boardrooms, back rooms, and bedrooms. And somewhere in the silence of that humiliation, something inside you screamed. You wanted to fight back, to prove yourself, to be heard. But the truth is brutal. The more you react, the more control you surrender. The more you chase respect, the more it runs. But the moment you stop craving it, the moment you stop flinching at insult, stop bending to please, stop proving to the unworthy, that's when the world shifts. That's when you walk into the fire and don't burn. That's when people begin to fear the calm in your eyes, because they know they can't touch you anymore. And that's why you need to stay with me through every second of this video, because what you're about to learn will break chains you didn't even know were wrapped around you. This is not a video. It's a weapon, forged in the fire of ancient philosophy and modern pain. And if you have the discipline to stay to the end, you won't just walk away with knowledge. You'll walk away transformed. So if you're tired of being disrespected, if you're done being ruled by emotion, then subscribe right now, because this isn't just content, it's armor. And once it's on you, no one can take it off. Now let's begin. They disrespected you, subtly perhaps, a smirk when you spoke, a quiet dismissal, an empty chair where support should have stood. And that sting, it never comes from the insult itself. It comes from the feeling of invisibility, of being reduced to less than what you know you are. But here's the brutal truth. The pain you feel when someone disrespects you is not caused by them. It is caused by your judgment of what their words or silence mean. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome and master of internal warfare, wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." That's not denial. That's domination of the self. The Stoic does not beg to be seen. He sees himself. And in that gaze, stronger than any applause, he finds the only approval that matters. You must understand, disrespect is not your enemy. It is your invitation to power. When someone dishonors you, you are standing on the edge of two choices. Become reactive and enslaved by your emotions, or become calm and ruthless in your self-control. And make no mistake, control is not passive. It is aggressive, silent, and surgical. When you learn to swallow offense without poisoning yourself, you become something far more dangerous than your enemy ever imagined. You become unprovocable. This is where most people lose the battle. They react, they shout, they break their own dignity in a desperate attempt to restore it. But every time you react, you hand the keys of your soul to someone else. Epictetus, once a slave, later a revered Stoic teacher, said it plainly. If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. That's the dagger right there. It's not what they did, it's what you allowed it to mean. The Stoic does not allow disrespect to alter the truth of who they are. Let them think you're weak. Let them laugh. Let them cast shadows. Your silence will haunt them more than your words ever could. You do not lower your voice to be heard. You raise your value by speaking less and doing more. Think of the mountain. It does not respond to the wind. It does not tremble when the sky roars. And yet it endures, unmoved, unconquered. You must become the mountain. Not by acting like stone, but by being the thing no storm can move. There is immense power in stillness, in the discipline to remain undisturbed. The world has taught you that power is reaction, that dominance is volume. Stoicism whispers a darker truth. The man who says nothing is often the man who already won. So, the next time someone disrespects you, don't react. Observe. Observe the emotion rising within you. Observe your desire to speak, to shout, to prove. And then, Don't. Replace it with a higher desire, to command yourself. This is not weakness, it is terrifying strength. People don't fear rage, they expect it. But calm terrifies them, because calm cannot be manipulated. The Stoic doesn't fight disrespect with ego, he fights it with elevation. And when you rise above, truly above, you don't just leave them behind, you leave your old self behind too. That is the essence of becoming untouchable. This is just the first weapon, but there are 4 more forged in even deeper fire. And if this chapter struck a nerve in you, if it lit a quiet storm in your chest, then you need to see what's coming next. Subscribe now, because in Chapter 2 we will go even darker into the art of invisibility and how to become the one they can't figure out and can't control. Don't miss it. You think you have to fight to earn respect. You think you must be loud to be seen, active to be noticed, constantly present to prove your worth. But in truth, the man who understands power does not chase attention. He vanishes. He removes his energy from spaces that mock it. He does not explain. He does not beg. He simply withdraws, and in doing so, he shakes the very foundation of those who took him for granted. Strategic invisibility is not cowardice. It is the highest form of confidence. When someone disrespects you, don't push harder to be accepted. Don't burn your spirit trying to prove to broken people that you are whole. You disappear. You silence your presence. You retreat into discipline, and you let the absence of your energy do what your voice could never achieve. Seneca once wrote, "He who does not prevent a crime when he can, encourages it." And in the same way, if you remain where respect is absent, you become complicit in your own diminishment. But if you walk away not in weakness but in unshakable strength, you leave behind confusion, regret, and a presence so haunting it screams louder than confrontation ever could. The Stoic understands that presence is currency, and not everyone can afford it. You must start treating your presence like gold. If someone cannot recognize your value, you do not argue. You vanish. This isn't about ghosting. This isn't about childish silence. This is about deliberate self-preservation. It's about reclaiming your dignity without lifting a finger. Think of it like this. A lion doesn't announce his departure from the jungle. He simply fades into the tall grass, and the silence left behind reminds every creature of his dominance. When you master the art of being strategically unseen, you train the world to either appreciate your existence or feel the cold shadow of your absence. People will begin to question what they did wrong, where they lost you, why your light no longer shines in their room. And that haunting silence, that echo of what used to be, is far more punishing than any words you could have screamed. Remember this. There is no greater display of self-worth than the man who is unbothered by being unseen, because he knows the world always notices when true power walks away. Invisibility, when wielded wisely, becomes a weapon no one can defend against. It disorients. It wounds the ego of the disrespectful and forces them to sit in the vacuum you leave behind. This chapter wasn't about silence, it was about strategy. The kind of strategy that builds mystery, earns fear, and commands attention without seeking it. But if you think this is where the transformation ends, you're mistaken. In the next chapter, we descend into a darker chamber of Stoic warfare, the discipline of emotional extinction, how to kill the very emotions that keep you enslaved to the opinions and actions of others. If you think you've built control, wait until you learn to destroy your need to feel validated at all. Stay with me. This next one will change everything. You were taught that emotions make you human, that your anger is justified, that your sadness proves you care, that the storm inside you is a sign of life. But here's the truth the weak will never accept. Emotions, when undisciplined, are shackles. They are weapons forged by your enemies and handed to you through habit. Every time you explode in rage, they win. Every time you break down in tears before someone who disrespected you, they tighten the noose around your spirit. And so the Stoic trains not to feel less, but to feel correctly. Not to be numb, but to be precise. Emotional extinction is not the death of feeling, it's the rebirth of control. When someone disrespects you, your first instinct is fury, humiliation, an urge to lash out, to prove you deserve better. But you must hold that flame in your palm and extinguish it before it grows. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is not poetry, it is pure war strategy. Kill the reaction before it kills your dignity. Learn to feel everything, but obey nothing. Because the man who responds instead of reacting becomes a ghost in the battlefield. Untouchable, unpredictable, unbreakable. They want your chaos. They thrive on your collapse. Every disrespect hurled at you is a test of your foundation. The average man breaks because he never built one. But we build from within. We build walls no insult can breach. The Stoic becomes fireproof, not by avoiding flame, but by standing still within it. Understand this, emotion is not your identity. It is a passing cloud. Do not build your home inside a thunderstorm. You feel anger rising? Good. Now cage it, study it, strangle it until it becomes silence. You feel the sting of rejection. Perfect. Let it sharpen your discipline. Don't waste a drop of emotional energy trying to convert the blind into seers. Their disrespect is a reflection of them, not you. And your job is not to educate them with your emotion. It is to evolve without them. Let them talk, let them spit, let them mock, but let them never see you flinch. When you learn to walk through insult with the same stillness you walk through a quiet garden, you have achieved emotional extinction. And when you master that, no one can manipulate you ever again. Now ask yourself, how different would your life be if no one could move you emotionally without your permission? If no insult, no praise, no betrayal could shatter your center? This is where true power begins. When you feel no need to defend, to cry, to scream, you become something they do not understand. And what people don't understand, they fear. You have just tasted the most brutal kind of freedom, the kind that costs everything weak within you. But we are not done yet, because even emotional extinction means nothing if your mind remains chained. In Chapter 4, we go deeper into the brutal mental architecture of radical indifference. How to build a mind so fortified, even your greatest losses cannot shake it. If what you've learned here stirred something dark and powerful within you, wait until you meet the version of you that feels absolutely nothing for the opinions of the world. Stay close. We're only getting colder. There comes a moment in your transformation when silence is no longer a tactic and emotional control is no longer effort. It becomes nature. But now you must cross into the most feared territory of all, radical indifference. This is not apathy. This is not detachment for the sake of peace. This is war, mental war. Radical indifference means your mind becomes so fortified, so brutally unshakable, that even your deepest losses, betrayals, and humiliations pass through you like smoke through stone. You stop flinching when people leave. You stop burning when they lie. You stop aching when they forget. And in that moment, you ascend from the realm of the emotionally reactive to the realm of the mentally untouchable. Epictetus taught, "It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." Let that sink into your bones. People can insult you, circumstances can crush you, life can betray you, but none of it means anything unless you decide it does. Radical indifference is not about feeling nothing. It's about giving nothing power over your inner citadel. The Stoic doesn't build walls to keep the world out. He builds them to keep his spirit in, guarded, clean, pure, unbreakable. This level of indifference doesn't come from pretending not to care. It comes from confronting pain so deeply it no longer controls you. You stare your worst fears in the face. Rejection, failure, loneliness, death. You stare long enough until they blink first. You learn to walk through the battlefield of life with the gaze of a man who's already buried every version of himself that needed approval. And when you stop depending on others to feel full, when you stop needing their praise, their recognition, their fake loyalty, you become a god to yourself. That is the terrifying beauty of Stoic indifference. It isn't passive, it's aggressive. It declares, I decide what matters. Not you, not the world, me. And the second you reach this plane of existence, people will feel it. They will test you. They will try to break through your silence with noise. They will throw chaos against your stillness. But when nothing sticks, when no insult registers, when no manipulation works, they will fall into confusion, into awe, into fear. Because they've never seen a man who truly does not care about what he cannot control. And in that fear, you win. Now listen carefully. You've mastered silence. You've mastered emotional extinction. You've now built the fortress of radical indifference. But there is one final evolution, and it is the most dangerous of all, because it doesn't just make you immune to disrespect, it makes you magnetic to power. In Chapter 5, we enter the arena of Stoic dominance, where silence becomes command, stillness becomes strength, and respect doesn't have to be earned. It is given without question. Stay until the end, the man you're about to become. Even your enemies will kneel in quiet fear. There is a point in your transformation where you no longer react, you no longer retreat, and you no longer explain yourself. You simply exist with such raw, immovable presence that disrespect becomes impossible, not because you demand it, but because the weight of your self-mastery crushes all attempts to diminish you. This is Stoic dominance. It is the silent authority that radiates from a man who has conquered his emotions, transcended his need for approval, and built a mind so fortified that even his silence becomes law. True dominance isn't loud, it doesn't bark orders or inflate itself with shallow pride. No, it walks into a room and everything slows down. The air thickens. People look twice. Not because of your appearance, but because of your energy. You are calm, not passive, calm like a blade that has been sharpened to its final edge. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." And when you become one truly without compromise, respect follows you like a shadow, even from those who once dismissed you. When you reach this level, you no longer chase power. You are power. You no longer seek validation. You've outgrown the hunger to be understood. Every movement you make becomes intentional. Every word you speak cuts through noise like thunder in a cathedral. People start to feel your boundaries without you drawing them. They begin to speak to you differently, look at you longer. They measure their words carefully. Not out of fear of punishment, but out of fear of irrelevance in your eyes. Stoic dominance isn't about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself so completely that others can't help but respond with reverence. You carry no need to defend yourself because the life you live is the loudest argument possible. You don't punish those who disrespect you. You vanish from their lives, and the absence of your presence becomes their slow undoing. You don't destroy your enemies with rage. You destroy them with indifference, silence, and the terrifying realization that they no longer exist in your world. That's when you know you've become untouchable, not by becoming feared, but by becoming unavailable to anything beneath your standards. And now you understand. The Stoic doesn't seek revenge. He becomes the kind of man who doesn't need it. You've just walked through the 5 unshakable pillars of handling disrespect through the lens of pure ancient Stoic fire. But don't be mistaken. This is only the beginning. In the next video, we reveal something darker, something even more commanding. How to make them regret losing you without saying a word. It's not about games. It's about transforming so deeply that your very existence becomes a mirror to their failures. So if you're ready to haunt their memory with your silence and leave footprints on their soul without ever turning back, subscribe now. The next chapter will make you unforgettable.